Hi, my name is Michael, and you're about to learn why the stories you love are garbage. And today we're going to talk about Glass Onion. First of all, I loved Knives Out. I am a huge fan of Agatha Christie, and that was very much in her style. And so I had high hopes for a sequel. Hopes that unfortunately did not survive meeting with reality. I had problems with both the plot and the characters, which are the only two things that can make a story for me, be it a movie, a book, or whatever else. Let's start with the characters. There is an exercise for determining whether the character is well rounded. Tell as much as possible about the character without mentioning what they look like, including clothes, or what they do, both their role in the story and their normal activities. The more you can say, the better the character. So, for example, take Martha from Knives Out. We know quite a bit about her. She is generally honest, although not to a fault. She is loyal to her family and willing to make personal sacrifices for them. She is rather smart and enjoys friendly banter. She is a bit shy and unwilling to confront people, preferring to endure humiliation herself. She likes to help people, including those who don't deserve it. Now, about Helen from Glass Onion. I am drawing a blank here. Over the course of the movie, she goes to great lengths to solve her sister's murder, but we can't say she's devoted to her sister. It was explicitly said that the sisters weren't close. In fact, I don't understand where this desire to see the crime solved comes from. She engages in a very risky scheme for no apparent reason. I would understand hiring a PI to look into it, but she goes way beyond that. Although I did like her initially, when she took a hammer to the puzzle box. During that montage when others were trying to solve the puzzles, I kept thinking about putting that box on a table saw. Well, I guess Helen didn't have a table saw readily available. I guess we could say she prefers simple solutions if she displayed that trait at least once more. Moving on, we have Miles Elon here. This character is done better, although marginally. He is a one-note billionaire scumbag, but at least there is this one note. And it would be fine were it not for Blank repeatedly calling him an idiot because of something. So let's examine his evidence. There is not a lot of it, but the strangest one is that Elon is using words in a peculiar way.
You have a regurgitative reaction to Miss Truden.
Really, Benoit? Then there is Elon's incorrect explanation of the disruption theory. Coincidentally, that's the first time I've even heard about the disruption theory, and I have to admit, after reading Wikipedia page on it, I still won't be able to explain it with any degree of accuracy. At least Miles knows that it's a thing. Granted, I am not an entrepreneur, so it's less relevant for me, but that's kind of the point. He has certain skills in his chosen line of work, even if poorly developed. And finally, there are multiple instances of Elon stealing ideas from others, with the implication that he has no creativity, which, okay, granted, he doesn't possess. Newsflash! Smart does not mean creative. Those are different things. In fact, it kind of proves my point. Miles stole an idea from Andy. The idea that, may I remind you, was basic enough to fit on a napkin. He then turned it into a money-making behemoth. He got a throwaway line from Blank, not even an idea, at least for Blank himself, and turned it into a plan that had all chances of working if it wasn't for a stupid pocket protector. Time and time again, he proves that while he lacks the inspiration, he excels at execution. Not just following orders, but figuring out all the details and doing all the heavy lifting. Now let's move to the plot, which is especially important for a mystery. The main murder, unfortunately, is obvious to anyone who, like me, consumed a lot of Christie and knows that when it seems like the wrong person is killed by mistake, then they are actually the intended victim, and the lucky one who was supposedly the target is the real murderer. Still, it can work if there are enough of carefully planned details around it, and there aren't. Just a few examples. Helen claims to know all about her sister's life from her diaries, but realistically, if the diaries were that detailed, it would take her at least weeks to go through them all. Even assuming Helen has perfect memory. Speaking of diaries, that pocket protector? I can't buy it. If it was a thick book, maybe. But something that thin can't stop a bullet, and it breaks my suspension of disbelief.
Good thing he reads Russian literature. If the guy was a Nicholas Sparks fan, he'd be dead.
And then we get the ending, which makes no sense at all. We see Elon's cronies turning on him with no explanation as to why. Do they think that he's now going down? Again, why? I guess French government would have very serious questions to him, but it's not like they will execute him. Yes, he probably breached the contract by installing that override, but even then, it's not him who destroyed Mona Lisa, Helen did. In fact, it's quite possible French government won't be willing to admit they loaned the national treasure to a random foreigner with deep pockets, so they might try to cover it up. Also, I have virtually no appreciation of paintings, but is bringing down one guy worth it? Mona Lisa is not just art, it's a symbol of all art. Destroying this painting is a quick way to show that the environment is against art itself. If anything, others should be repulsed by Helen's actions, not by Elon. So, there might be a serviceable mystery here somewhere, but it was very poorly thought out. Definitely unworthy to be a sequel to such an excellent movie as Knives Out. And it's really sad. That's all I have to say. We'll see you next time. Bye.